guys, welcome back to Tactical Foul. I'm Kyle Grew, and we're back for another episode. Today I have the privilege of introducing a lot of you. Some of you may have already met him, but we've added a new coach to our staff who comes with a ton of pedigree, a lot of experience, and we're really excited to have him. Let me welcome Nate Stovall.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
Hey, good. How's it going, man?
Good.
Good. All right. First, before we get started, just kind of tell everybody, any roles that you hold right now or any teams that you're coaching going into, obviously, the fall.
Yeah, I'll be coaching the Tri-County 2003 girls black team, and then also the 2007 boys black team, and then also with Nationals out of Genesee, be working with their 2007 boys black and 2008 boys black.
Great. A bunch of good groups that are, I'm sure, excited to have you. So what I like to do here is I want to start all the way back to the beginning. So I want to go all the way back to the childhood, just kind of walk us through where you grew up a little bit, and then maybe just a little bit about how you got started in soccer.
Yeah, so I was growing up in Hayesville, Kansas, which is basically south side of Wichita. Okay. And, as a child, I had some deformities with my legs, and I was in braces.
Oh, wow.
And when I was younger. And one of the things the doctors told my parents that it'd be really good for me is to get into some sort of activity where I could get running, get moving, and getting out of the braces, so that when I actually went into kindergarten, I wouldn't be wearing them. And so they started me in soccer when I was about 4.5. And that's kind of where the love of the game came from. Sure. It wasn't like it is now as far as having club soccer. And my dad was my coach. We had a bunch of kids from my neighborhood on the team. It was a blast. Those kids were some of my best friends growing up. And it was really, really a great time. So I actually started for kind of medical reasons without me really having a choice in it, and just kind of was something that was introduced to me by my parents, and then I kind of fell in love with the game from there, and just continued playing.
Yeah, absolutely. So soccer, obviously they chose soccer. Were your parents, did they have any background in soccer before that, or was it just kind of, it was there and so they chose that sport?
Yeah, it was very, very little. As I started playing and my dad was the coach, he knew that he needed to learn a little bit about the game. I can remember him reading some books and getting some drills organized. But as far as a fan of the game, the only really professional game in town was the Wichita Wings, which competed in the MISL indoor league. And my dad was heavily involved with them, and then I was also able to be a ball boy in the locker room growing up. So I grew up with a bunch of old school indoor guys, everyone from Tattoo to Jungle to Prucky to guys that live here in Michigan like Brian Tinian and Andy Chapman. So
that's awesome.
Guys that are all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk about youth soccer a little bit still. What are some of the big differences between youth soccer? Let's just go with, in Kansas when you were there, and then obviously you made a move to Michigan. What were the differences between the two?
Yeah, I really think it was night and day. You kind of think you're pretty good or a good player, good team in your area. I remember I was probably 12 years old and playing on Kansas ODP. And not sure if it's like same region now, but before Kansas was in Michigan's region. And we came up here to Bowling Green University, stayed at university, and had ODP regional camp up here. And then we have obviously state game competitions between the states. And I remember playing Michigan, and we got our tails clocked. And they were by far the most technical team we had ever seen. And we thought we were pretty good, and we had no idea what good soccer really was. And I think that kind of still revelates today when you look at coaching and you look at teams from outside the state of Michigan, where their rankings are, and then you go play them, And it's like, wow, you really have a good respect for the level of competition that's actually in the state of Michigan. We have a lot of really great clubs here, and very, very fortunate for that, I think, for our youth.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And just kind of piggyback off that, we're talking about when you were playing youth soccer, and now obviously you've been ingrained in the game for a while now. What are some of the big differences you see just in youth game from when you were playing till now when you're coaching?
I think one of the things I touched on earlier was having parent or volunteer coaches
Okay.
versus now having paid coaches or professional coaches, coaches with coaching education, coaches that do this full time for a living or have committed a lot of their life to learning and studying and giving back to the game. So I would say that would be a big difference. I would say the pay to play is also a difference. I would assume back in the day we had to pay for stuff as well, but I don't think it was anywhere near kind of what the financial commitment is for an athlete growing up today.
Absolutely. So I think it's pretty easy to say. I mean, even for me, when I was younger, at least, it got a little more intense as I got older. But the commitment level has definitely risen, and there's definitely an emphasis put on education and being really focused and driven on trying to be the best players and go to the highest levels for sure. Which
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
is not a bad thing. I definitely like seeing those kids reach those potential. So what I want to talk about a little bit is a little bit off topic of soccer, but you obviously moved from, we've kind of talked about it, outside of Wichita, a small little place, and then you moved here to Michigan. Tell us a little bit about where you moved to.
Yeah, we moved to Wixom, which is where Total Soccer is. So it's actually just the city kind of surrounding Total Soccer.
Yeah, absolutely. So that move, tell us a little bit about that, just, in terms of like the different culture, the different, and then also on top of that, like you said, Wixom, you have Total Soccer there. What was the soccer culture as well, like when you moved there?
Yeah, so made things a little bit easier is we actually had a foreign exchange student at the time
Okay.
named Kim Bootsbach, and he actually played soccer, and he was from Denmark, and so he was a senior when I was in Kansas as a freshman in high school, and we ended up moving to Michigan. My dad accepted a new position middle of the year, so we moved over Christmas break.
Okay.
So I moved here to Wixom in 1988, and sadly to say, there wasn't really any kind of a soccer culture around. Walled Lake School District is definitely improved and better now, but back in the late 80s, early 90s, there were no real youth club soccer programs in the immediate area. So, the school kind of relied on players who moved in from out of state. I moved in from Kansas. I played club at the Michigan Wolves, but for the majority of my teammates, maybe the first time they touched the soccer ball was in junior high, 7th or 8th grade. Okay. So then stepping into the the Western Lakes with Canton, Salem, Stevenson, Churchill, all the big schools. And then you have us with a bunch of kids that have zero club experience.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It was interesting. It was fun. I wouldn't have given anything back for that time, though. It was a great time.
Absolutely. And I want to stay a little bit on the topic of high school. Obviously, you went on, you did great things, but in high school, you were provided a few opportunities because of your play. Talk a little bit about like the All-Star game that you got to play in, and then what that brought upon for you.
Yeah, in 1991, they had started a Michigan State, like an all-star game. And they had 4 divisions, kind of a north-south, or 4 teams, north, south, east, and west. And the teams came down to Canton High School and competed against each other. And then from that kind of showcase there with the top 64 seniors in the state of Michigan, they picked a all-star team that was going to represent the state of Michigan in the 1991 AAU Junior Olympics. So I was lucky enough to get invited to join that program, which I did. And we went down and we were at Florida State University. And just kind of the interesting tidbit about that, it was the same year that Super Friends were there with Michigan AAU basketball. Team included Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Michael Talley, a lot of really, really great players. So
Sure.
we're kind of involved with the Michigan, you know, they do it like they do the normal Olympics. You know, you have the opening ceremonies, the walk-in with your state, and, you know, you're spending time with people from other sports in the state. It was just a great opportunity, and it's something I wish they would kind of bring back. You know, the high school all-star game. So we'll see. I've heard some talk. We'll see.
It sounds like an awesome experience for sure. So so the next step, obviously, for you is college. Where did your college experience start?
Yeah, you know, I really struggled in school. And just take a quick kind of step back is, you know, I had a learning disability growing up. So school was hard for me. High school was hard for me. So coming out of high school, I wanted to go to college. I thought a good first step for me would be Schoolcraft College, so I could kind of get some of my basics done and out of the way. And soccer really wasn't even a part of my thinking at that point. I just wanted to go to school there. And my best friend, who went to the same high school I did, was going to be a sophomore there and knew I was coming and kind of invited me out. So I just came out to like an open practice, and then, you know, was offered a scholarship and committed to the team there. But, you know, it was really schooling I was going there for. And, you know, just let kids know, because I know some people might be watching this that aren't good students. And, you know, I was not a great student, but I became a very good student in college, I think, because I learned how to study. But I definitely had some difficulties in high school, but you can still get to the college game. You know, you just have to find your own pathway, and hopefully you have some good role models and support staff around you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been well documented on here already about myself. It's kind of the similar thing where high school was, not that it was tough, but I didn't take it as serious as I should. And it took me till college to learn how to actually be an actual student. So it takes people longer than others. I think we both can agree starting earlier is probably the better bet if you can. But everyone has their own path. So there's nothing wrong with that. And speaking of paths, you did the Schoolcraft. As you've obviously said, it was a very good experience, not just for your soccer-wise, but just in life. And then you go on to Madonna. Walk us through, you know, how that came about, you know, the decision there a little bit, and we'll go on a little bit.
Yeah, so actually I was offered a scholarship at Eastern Michigan University coming out of Schoolcraft, which I accepted that scholarship, enrolled for classes, purchased my apartment, had my books, was all ready to go, and got called into the AD's office and found out that one of my classes from Schoolcraft wasn't going to be a transferable class because Eastern didn't have anything comparable to that. So I actually lost out on 3 credits, which made me NCAA-wise ineligible. And they were going to go through a appeal process, but they didn't believe there was going to be much hope. So I was looking at having to sit out, which would technically have been my junior year of college. I loved the game so much. I didn't really care where I played. I just wanted to play. I had that much love and passion for the game. It was the thing I was the most into. And I had met at a camp during the summer called Futures All-Star Camp, which was in 1994. It was Alexi Lawless's camp with Kobe Jones that was here at Cranbrook High School just after the 94 World Cup. So it was cool. There was a good vibe, but I met a coach there named Pete Alexander. And he ended up getting the coaching position at Madonna University. And when I found out that I was going to have to sit a year, I called him to just see how everything looked in for the NAIA for me, and found out that I'd be eligible right away there. So I essentially, transferred from Eastern to Madonna and started up with them in the first year of the program, which I'm happy to say, 1994 is the very first year of the men's soccer program, and I was able to be captain of that, and very, very special time.
Absolutely. And, you had obviously a very successful career, set a couple records, and did a lot of good things at Madonna. Walk us through a little bit, just what that step up was, or if it was a step up from Schoolcraft, and just the difference in coaching and the difference in play for you.
Yeah, I mean, Schoolcraft's a really established program, even, especially back in the 80s and 90s. I mean, they were always top 5 in the country. So they were a very, very good program, and I'm coming into a very new program with kind of a mixed bag of talent. But the work that we put in that year, I mean, we had, for example, we had to cut pieces of logs, saw them, and put them on the back of the goals for weights to weight down the goals on our field. That's like how new it was. We didn't have these great goals, with the professional tiebacks, and I mean, it was literally putting pieces on wood on the back of the bars, to keep them down. And we didn't have a field. There was an open space next to the nuns' house, where their residence at Madonna University, a big open space, which the geese used to love. And so they kind of threw down some lines, and they said, hey, this is going to be your soccer field. So we had to do a lot of work. We did a lot of fundraising. We did a lot of stuff to get this program kind of up and going. And now the men's program plays on artificial turf at their own facility. It's really nice, but I don't think those guys quite know where we were in 94 and kind of the strains and pains that we put into the program. But to see it succeed today and still be going on and flourishing, it's really great.
Absolutely. And so your career at Madonna goes well, obviously. What goes next for you? Are you done with soccer, or where does that path lead you?
Yeah, I was presented with a few opportunities of doing some professional stuff or semi-professional stuff. While I was still at Madonna, I played in the USISL, which is was a semi-professional league then at the time. It had professional paid players, but they were allowed to have so many amateur, so many college players be on the team. So I was able to do that. And so that was kind of my pathway that I was going to look to build on and look to try to have a professional career. And, just unfortunately I had kind of a bad back injury while I was playing. And, once you kind of do that and herniated disc, it's kind of playing days are a bit over. So that was really the last time I played, is when I was hurt.
Oh, wow.
That was probably 96, 95, 96.
Yeah. And then so from there, did you go right into coaching then, or was it something else?
I had just a couple opportunities coaching high school. I coached at Nova High School, Heartland High School, and also Birmingham Seaholm. And so I was getting some coaching experience doing that. During my time at Madonna, I was working with the head coach with the youth team that he was coaching as his assistant. So I was gaining some knowledge. And in 97, I started coaching for the Northville Sting, which is now the Northville Rush. But I started with that program in 97, just kind of as a part-time thing. I was doing working during the day as well.
Awesome. So walk us through your very first team, just some of the, some of the things that you remember and like maybe even like a mistake you made that you can think of or whatever.
Yeah. Let's see. So probably one of the first teams, I believe they were the 88. I think they were the 88 team at Northville. Geez, I hope I'm getting that date right. But those girls are all grown up now, and we still stay on group text from time to time.
That's awesome.
And we got a Facebook group together from all of us because, it really was a pretty special group of players that came through the Northville program. Very unusual back there at the time is for the majority of the team to go on and play college, but the
Oh, wow.
majority of the team went on to go on and play college.
That's awesome.
And we didn't quite have the showcases, kind of like
Yeah.
what we have now, where you can really go out and kind of showcase your players' talents, and they can play in front of a lot of college coaches. It was really much more condensed back then, and much harder to get seen and get noticed.
Absolutely. So definitely a testament to the girls, but also, to you as well. So that's awesome. We talk about a little bit about club, but I want to go back to the high school coaching, where you did find some pretty good success, especially with Novi, correct?
Yeah, because we won the state championship in '97, and we
So
had
quickly.
first year there. um, we had a good team. I mean, I stepped into a good program. We had solid players. If I can remember off the top of my hand, we had 3-4 kids go to Oakland University off that group. A couple others went to some other mid-major school, which again, at that time, to have that many kids on one high school team go to college, you had a good team, and it was fun. The training environment was fun. The guys were all club players, which obviously makes a big difference.
Right.
And so it was my first coaching experience, kind of being on my own. And it will always, kind of hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Because I really think probably that's my passion probably really deepened there when I was able to, work with kids on a daily basis, and
Absolutely.
the high school kids. It was just, it was so fun. It was a blast.
For sure. Walk us through a little bit, like just the differences that come with coaching high school and then coaching club.
I would say, as far as, the things that you can't really replicate in the club side of it is playing in front of your peers. I think that's a big thing with high school is to represent something that's bigger than yourself, and to represent your high school, something that maybe you've had siblings go through, so it's been a part of your family for
Sure.
quite a while. And it's kind of like a college or university, if you have several brothers and sisters that go through the program. So I would say that, being able to play in front of your peers is something that we just really can't replicate at the club level. On the vice versa, I would say that the club training environments are quite a bit more intense. And I think the level of play in the club training environments is higher, because I coached high school this fall with Livonia Churchill,
Okay.
and we had still some kids that were quite a few kids that were on the team that were not affiliated with any club soccer.
Oh, wow.
And the scary thing is they were really good players, and had those players gotten with a club, or if they get with a club, they really do have some potential. But we tried to stress to them that touching the ball during the fall for high school season, is not really enough. You need to do more. So whether it's them putting a winter indoor team together with the other high school boys and playing, or just finding ways to get more touches on the ball, I think that's a big difference, as well as the club kids get quite a few more touches on the ball on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. And now I want to transition a little bit because obviously, like you said, you had a passion for coaching. You're doing the high school, doing club, but in there, you did actually end up taking a break, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
Walk us through a little bit of that, and why you did that, and what you were doing.
Yeah. So my degree at Madonna University was in criminal justice,
Okay.
and I had aspirations of joining one of the federal units, but with my back injury, when I started inquiring, found out I was kind of an automatic disqualification.
Oh,
So, and that kind of rolled down into the police department aspect of it as well that I was worried about. I had a professor at Madonna that suggested private investigating. And so I applied and was lucky enough to get a position right out of college
okay.
as a private investigator. And I worked for a place called Henderson and Associates, and I did that for 10 years. And it's a tough grind. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of nights in the hotel, a lot of uncomfortable days sitting in vans, not moving, a lot of report writing, a lot of videotaping, you know, just a lot of work. And so I was gone, you know, most of the week, come home on the weekends and was able to, you know, do reports. But I found out that most of the time I was home, I was working still to get caught up from the weeks of work. So, you know, I did that for a time, and I was just trying to figure out a way to get out of doing that
Yeah.
and be just a little bit more of a family guy, where I was home for dinner and able to go to the kids things that they had going on at schools and be able to support them more and not be gone so much. So I looked into coaching and had called my old college coach, who happened to be the director at Canton Celtic. And it took about a year to be able to get in full time there, but kind of work through it. And I did the commute from Lansing to Canton for about probably 6 years or so before we actually moved
Oh,
down
wow.
there. I think we moved there in like 2000, maybe 5 years. But yeah, it was quite a while making that drive, 142 miles.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a drive. So
Awesome. But I mean, so obviously you get to Canton, you officially, full time going to soccer. And it sounds like you haven't really looked back, and it's been the best thing that you've done for you and your family. But
yeah.
you get into it. Obviously, I'm sure that passion just came right back as soon as you got into it. Where did that lead? Did you? How long were you with Canton, and then what other teams or what other clubs did you go on to coach for?
Yeah, I was at Canton from probably 2007 to about 2015 or so.
Okay. Wow.
So I spent a good time there. Um, and in 2015, I just kind of felt a little bit stale, and I just needed a new challenge, and I just needed to kind of I was maybe a little bit comfortable where I was, and I just needed to be in a kind of a different environment.
Yeah.
And so I kind of I reached out to the Livonia Wolves and Hawks. One, because that was my old club that I played for growing up, and so and it was one exit away from my house, so it just kind of made sense for me to at least inquire and see if there would be any coaching opportunities there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that ended up working out pretty well for you, obviously. You had quite a few different very successful teams, held some important roles. So why don't you walk us through some of the roles that you held there, and walk us through some of those, the 03s, 07s, and 09s.
Okay, so yeah, when I first came in, I had the 2003 girls, 2009 boys, and the 2007 girls.
Okay.
So I had those three teams and just came in at that my first year as just as a coach. That next year, I was offered the position of TA, which is a technical advisor for the younger age groups. So I accepted that role and kind of embraced working with our younger age groups, which at that time was the 2009s, 2008s, and 2007s was where the majority of our focus was in. And so we created some different programs for them, some soccer specific things that we knew that they needed to have in order to kind of move on. So we really hit technical in those three age groups. About 85% of our practices were all technical work.
Okay.
And we spent less than 10% on kind of positional. So we just really hit the fundamentals and the skill level of those groups. And it paid off. My 2007s ended up winning back-to-back state cups. And so that was really great. I believe we played nationals, Oakland in both finals. They were both good games. I think one of the things I'm kind of most proud about that group is that group kind of broke the ceiling when it comes to girls being able to play in the boys DA. We didn't have really any competition on the girls' side and in the DA format, and we didn't want to move the group up to 9v9 too early. We wanted them to play 7v7 so that they could continue to get touches on the ball. But in doing so, we really didn't have anyone to play. So we petitioned the state for them to allow us to join the boys DA, and they allowed us to. And in the fall, we joined. It was great. We finished second. I think we lost to the 07 Michigan Tigers team, which I guess is the top boys team in the state right now. So that was the only team that we lost to. So we had a lot of athletes. We had a lot of good little ballers on that team. Just amazes me what they can do at the younger age groups, and just convinces me that us as coaches, we need to push our players at the younger age groups. They really do, and they can do more than what we're asking of them. They really do have more down there. They just need a way to be able to express it. From the 2007 group, I think our 2003 group was a pretty interesting and fun group. When I took them over that first year, they were a MRL color team. We won our color division, made it into Division II, won Division II, and got promoted to Division I. That next year, that following year, we joined the ECNL with our second teams, and that was what this group was. The 03 Black is the Hawks' second team. Joined the ECNL. It was another huge jump from regional play to National League, and a big step where you think you have things figured out, and you go up another step, and things are a lot quicker, and players are a lot faster and better, and you realize that you have quite a bit of work to do. And that's kind of where we were in year one. We were just kind of finding out where we were. We had good games where we beat the top team, St. Louis Scott Gallagher, at their home facility. Wow. And then come home and you struggle against weeks and you scratch your head. It's all about the kids just trying to learn what it takes to win at that level. We were able to finish 33rd or 34th that year in the country, which allowed us to qualify for the North America Cup, which was held in Seattle. Yeah, it was held in Seattle. And so we went there. We actually had a really great tournament. We lost our first game on PKs, which knocked us out because it's a one-game disqualification, but you go ahead and you play other games while you're guaranteed 4 games when you're there. So we played the rest of the games and won all the other games against some of the higher seeds that were expected. I think we were like a 3 or 4 seed in that tournament, and we played like the 1 and 2 and beat them. So just kind of wonder about that one first game that we
Yeah, for sure.
slipped up on. You know, it kind of cost us a bit, but it was a great learning experience from the girls. And they kind of catapulted that into next year. That following year, when we started ECNL play, got off to a much better start. Ended up finishing 26th in the country, and we qualified for the Champions League, which is the top 28 or 29 teams in the country qualified for Champions League for ECNL. So, you know, in 3 short years to go from a color division of MRL to being one of the top teams, or at least a team that can step on with anyone on the field and compete with them, was really great, because there was a lot of buy-in from the players.
Yeah,
there was a lot of buy-in from the parents. You know, I was a new coach coming in, so I had to do a lot to make sure that the girls, you know, they trusted me. They knew I was looking out for their best interest. And we just kind of talked about the quicker everyone can kind of buy in, and the quicker I can earn your trust and everything, the quicker we can kind of roll together as a group and really look to take those steps forward.
Yeah, absolutely. The next thing I want to talk about, because I know that this team means a lot to you just because of the things that happened mainly after they graduated, but talk a little bit about the 01 team.
Yeah, it was a special group.
Yeah.
We struggled. We really struggled in the ECNL. Real struggled. But the girls worked hard. Every single girl off that team earned a college scholarship. And at the end of the day, that's really what it was about, you know.
Sure.
And it wasn't about, you know, how we did. It was about them looking to set up their futures, you know. And I have a couple of girls that went to the University of Dayton.
Yep.
And I got a couple of girls off of my 03 team this year that are going to Xavier. So I'm just kind of looking forward as a proud coach's moment to be able to go down there when Xavier plays Dayton and have 4 of my club players there on the field. Will be pretty special. So yeah, that group was it was a lot of work. A lot of work. We weren't great, but we had a lot of fun together. They worked their tails off. We could knock the ball around like anyone on, you know, in the ECNL, but in those transition moments and those counterattacks and actually having goal scorers, you know, it was a real struggle for us at that level.
Yeah, for sure. But like you said, every single girl earned a way into college, and that's a major success for sure. So the last question I have, it's 2 parts. You've obviously been coaching, you know, for a good amount of time now, and I'm sure you've learned a lot. But just give me 1 or 2 lessons you've learned, and then I know we've talked about some good moments, but one kind of under the radar moment that's really special to you as well.
All right. First question again.
Give me a lesson you've learned throughout coaching.
I would say to relax. You know, because you know, this is a game. You know, I think we need to keep it in perspective for the players. It needs to be fun for them. They need to enjoy coming out and coming to practice, because really that's the only thing that's going to allow them to really have that continued development, is if they have the passion, and if they're willing to do some work outside of, you know, your own training stuff, you know, like getting touches on the ball on their own.
Sure.
And doing stuff like that. And, you know, kids aren't doing that if they don't have a passion and a love for the game, you know. So I think for me, it was making sure that I didn't crush that passion, you know, where maybe I was too hard as a younger coach, or took stuff a little bit maybe too serious. Now, just because I've coached at quite a few different levels, and I've been in really, really big games, I've been in packed parks, you know, playing. And so it's a little bit more of a controlled mentality part when I'm in there coaching now, and just looking to kind of manage the game. I say for kind of a under the radar moment, something that I'm kind of proud of. In '94 when I started at Madonna University, obviously it was the first year in the program, but that very first game I scored the first goal. So being able to score the first goal for the program is probably a stat a lot of people don't know, but it was pretty cool to be able to kind of hold that special, and that's something that no one can ever take away.
Absolutely. And so obviously I want to transition now. We've been doing this interview. We've got to know you really well. We're going to get to know you a little bit more, but in a little bit quicker form. So I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions, some this or that. We're going to do a portion that'll be start, sit, or cut. You'll give us your best 11, and then like all of these, we're going to end with some trivia.
What was the first one again?
This or that questions. So I'll give you 2 options, and you got to pick one. Okay?
Gotcha. Roll.
All right. Here we go. Kansas or Michigan weather?
Ooh, Kansas.
Fair enough. Beach or mountain?
Mountain.
MLS or EPL?
MLS.
Oh, wow. All right. Calls or text messages?
Text.
Tacos or pizza?
Tacos.
Cam will be happy about that answer. I know you are into photography. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. What photography or coaching? I know it's tough.
Definitely coaching. Photography is just a passion that I've kind of developed in the last year to try to give me a hobby outside of coaching, but coaching for sure.
All right. Big or small city?
Big city.
All right. Cable or Netflix?
Oh, Netflix. I stream everything. I don't have cable. Stream.
Fair enough. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Pele or Maradona?
Pele.
Sir Alex or Pep?
Pep.
Oh man. All right, that one you just really made Cam's
day. He gives the best interviews.
You just made Cam's day, and it really hurts my soul.
He's must-watch TV.
All right. So next part: start, sit, or cut. So I'm going to give you 3 guys, and you just tell me which one you'll start, which one you're going to sit, and which one you're going to cut off the team.
Okay.
All right. First is Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard.
Cut, sit, start.
So you're gonna cut. So which one are you cutting?
Scholes
you're cutting?
Scholes,
oh my.
Yeah.
Oh no. And then Gerrard,
I'm sitting.
You're sitting, and you are starting Lampard. Unbelievable. All right. Diego Costa, Griezmann, or David Villa. So former strikers of Atletico Madrid.
Man. Griezmann's my man. He's starting no matter what.
Right.
Costa probably is suspended, so he's cut. and what was the other one you said?
David Villa.
Yeah, he's on the bench.
All right. Well, okay.
Griezmann's the man.
All right. 3 goalkeepers that have all played for Atletico. Thibaut Courtois, David De Gea, or Jan Oblak.
I would say Oblak, like he would be playing now. De Gea would be benched, and
Courtois booted.
Booted.
All right. Torres, Aguero, Falcao. Atletico has had a bunch of strikers, so I had to fit them all in.
Yeah. Go ahead. Start from the first one again.
Torres, Aguero, Falcao.
I really enjoyed Torres' game, so I would say start. Second one was
Aguero.
Bench.
And then Falcao's out of there.
Yeah.
That's probably fair. All right, so last one of this. Jadon Sancho, Kylian Mbappe, or the young phenom from Atletico, João Felix.
Felix, man, he's so good in FIFA 20. He scored 3 goals for me last night. Felix, who were the other 2?
Kylian Mbappe and Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, I mean, Mbappé's a man. He's so fun to watch. I would have to say that's tough. I would have to say him starting, Felix on the bench.
And Jaden
And I
Sancho's
would
out of it.
probably go that route, but I really enjoy watching Felix play.
All right, fair enough. All right, so here's your time. Give us your best 11 of all time. Your best 11. It doesn't. You can pick whoever you want.
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking about this, and I realized I have mostly forwards. But those are kind of the players I like watch play. So I have Messi, Manny from Liverpool, Ronaldo, Arnold, Kane, Dijon, Pogba, Arthur, De Gea, Neymar, and Griezmann as my 11, and not really positioned because most of them are forwards.
All right, those are just your favorite ones to watch. All right, I respect that. All right, here's your time. Here's your time to shine. Time for trivia. Let's see how you do. We're gonna we're gonna start with a Madonna question. All right.
Okay.
All right.
There's hope.
Who is the all-time top goal scorer in Madonna history? I'll tell you, they started playing in the 90s. I think after you graduated, but
Yeah, I've got it narrowed between two people. I'm gonna say my boy Sam Perani. If it's not Sam Perani, it would be Scott Emmert.
yeah, it's Salvatore Perani. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You got it. All right. All right. So this is an Atletico question. All right.
Okay.
Atletico has been runners-up 3 times for the Champions League, but they have won the Europa League. How many times have they won it?
3.
They have won it 3 times. That is correct. See, look at you were all worried, and you're doing well on this. There we go. This one might be a little tougher. Okay. Named at this word means. I'm just gonna give you this hint. This word means mattress makers, but the Spanish word refers to the nickname given to the players of Atletico. What is the name?
Is it well, I kind of remember the story that Atletico Bablo or something, Bilabo or something.
Bilbao.
Bilbao, yeah. I know they were called the mattress makers early on because their jersey had the stripes.
Yeah, so I can tell you, the story is after the Spanish Civil War, mattresses were covered with a red and white striped material, which is why Atletico's players were given this name.
Yeah.
Yep. So what do you know what the name is? Colchoneros.
Oh.
Yep, that is
right.
Colchoneros. So it was a tough one. I couldn't make it all.
I knew
easy.
the story. I knew about mattress makers. I mean, I think that's early 1900s, right?
Yeah, it's carried on though. They still are called that. That's pretty much that's a very common name that the fans give the players still. All right.
Yeah.
In 2015, in the inaugural season for Ann Arbor, which place did they finish in? Ann Arbor FC, which you were with them in 2015, which is something we.
I don't know. Did we finish 3rd?
You finished 3rd. You
okay.
did.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I thought Lansing and maybe Grand Rapids was ahead of us.
Well done. Well done. All right. Last question. I think you're going to get this. I think you're going to score the best trivia score, by the way. All right. For who holds the record for assists per game at a .69 percentage in Madonna history?
Myself.
That is correct. Nate Stovall holds the record for assists per game. Minimum of 5 games played. Obviously, you played more than that, but that is true. That is you. So congrats. 4 right, and one of them is you just couldn't speak Spanish. So that's not really your fault. So
yeah,
awesome job. I do really appreciate this. Before we go, I'd like to give everybody a chance to say one last word if you have anything to say to anybody watching right now.
No, just thanks for all the warm welcomes on Facebook and some text messages and phone calls. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to working up here in this community. Looking to embrace this community and become one with it. And looking forward to working with all the kids in the area. So it's a new chapter in my life, and it's something that I'm going to take very seriously. I think we can have a good time doing it as well.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks again, Nate, for hanging out and letting us get to know you. This has been Tactical Foul. I'm Kyle Grew, Nate Stovall. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.